Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. This video started out as a simple comparison between the current Freelancer that does not have physicalized components and the new one introduced with 3.23 that does. But while I was collecting the two videos, there were so many other noteworthy differences that just couldn't be ignored. So I had to change. What this video is going to be is going through a simple set of actions, flying from Laurelville to Everus Harbor in a Drake Cutter Rambler, renting a Freelancer, and then doing a walkthrough of each of them. If you are confused as to which you are looking at, the 3.23 Wave 1 EPTU footage has a QR code in the upper right corner, while the 3.22 live footage does not. And the point is to show how even small tasks in the verse behave and look quite differently in 3.23, almost universally for the better. So one thing you might notice right away is that the Flight HUD has differences in the pitch ladder, differences in the quantum markers, and differences in the progress indicators, and that in quantum spool up you get information regarding your target. So first let's navigate to Everus. In the current live release, I call up the Starmap, play around with the zoom until I am close enough to see Everus, but not too close that it has clipped the edges. Then I play around a bit more until I can get the view till I can successfully click on Everus and then pick Select Route. In 3.23, when I go to the map, it defaults to my ship. I scroll out a bit to get a search box. I type in Everus, and I get a list of destinations in the Everus area, including Everus Harbor itself. I select it, and my course is locked in, and the map automatically scales to show the route. Completing the Quantum Traveler is familiar. Use Center on the calibration finished and hold B, and there you are at the familiar site of Everus Harbor. In 3.23, the appearance is different of the HUD, but you still hold down the B and arrived at, whoa, what's this? Everus, you've had a makeover. I don't remember seeing that in the patch notes. Anyway, let's see that before picture of you. Now, to be clear, I am running on exactly the same computer with exactly the same graphics card. It's like I found a game that makes Star Citizen look ugly by comparison, and it's Star Citizen. Anyway, the changes appear to be external only. Once we dip below the rim of the hangar door, it appears to again be identical. But bear in mind that we have new hangars coming that aren't in the current 3.23 test build. Once we get to the main station interior, we get to see some of the other 3.23 changes, like the mini-map in the upper left corner, the item statuses in the lower right corner, and if we were having any negative health status issues, those would be in the lower left corner. Renting ships. Returning to the hangar on the EPTU build, I started noticing how many of these item bank kiosks have been added. They really are all over the place, including one next to each elevator in the hangars. We were also expecting them to be in the hangars themselves, but these are not yet the hangars that we've been looking for. Now we get to my initial intent, which was to see the changes in the Freelancer. So let's do a complete walk around, because one of my concerns was what they would have to bump out the exterior in order to make space for the many medium-sized components that the Freelancer carries. And it looks like that they have not had to do that. The exterior seems completely unchanged, but to verify, let's do that same walkabout using the current live build Freelancer. But I did notice one difference with the interaction on the ship doors. With the current Freelancer, the whole door would highlight when you moused over it, and the whole door was interactable. With the 3.23 build Freelancer, the whole door did highlight, but in order to interact with the door, you had to select the much smaller interaction point in the middle of it. The same thing also applies to closing the door, entering seats, and other items where the whole item was interactable with in the past. The comparable concern I had for the inside of the ship was that they would have to push the inner panels further into the hallways to make space. But again, not the case. The rear cargo area, and only the aft part of the rear cargo area, has different panels and interaction points, but are not smaller. It also looks like the changes that they made in the base Freelancer will be easily ported to all the others. So what's behind each of these panels? Starting on the left side aftmost is a small panel containing slots for computer components when they become available. First, on the starboard side is one of the two coolers on the bottom with the avionics and communication components above it. Next forward on the port side is the first engine on the lower compartment with the first shield generator on the top. Then ahead of it, an identical bay containing the second engine and the second shield generator. Returning to the starboard, there is the second cooler on the lower and the third shield generator above it. Then the third large panel on the port side contains the quantum drive and an empty space above it. Across from the quantum drive is this panel, which does not do anything now, but for the size and shape of the area is almost certainly going to be where the circuit breaker panel is going to be, and then across from it, a panel that opens up into empty storage. All of the components have been accounted for at this point, so maybe this is a place to put a small box. Would something put there be invisible to scans? An interesting thought. Another interesting thought is that to work with any of these components, it's going to require removing most of the cargo. When the Freelancer is full of cargo, the available work area in front of these components is way too small to actually be able to remove any of them. That's something to bear in mind when working on, or looting, a Freelancer. Ahead of the circuit breaker and empty storage, the Freelancer returns to the basic panels and cargo netting aesthetic of the very first versions. The middle section is also unchanged, and the bunk section has the same shower-toilet combo and the same kitchenette. Again, the only changes are with the interaction techniques. This currently blank screen is likely candidate to be the engineering station, and the wall space above it is likely to become purposed as the second fuse panel. And then to finish the tour, the cockpit has the same 4 seats in the same configuration. The only difference is continuing in the pattern of interaction with the seats. So what do I think of this slight change in the Freelancer? It is one of the original ships in the game, and it needs a more complete rework to match the current realities of the game mechanics. If I were allowed a blank sheet rework of the Freelancer to meet the current game with the same spirit, what I would do is get rid of the middle cargo area and the never-used docking ring on top. I would then make the single rear cargo area shorter and taller so that it could hold 2 32 SCU containers stacked one on top of the other, or 4 32 SCU containers on the max. I would then make the tail gunner be a remote turret to limit the additional height and free up more floor length. I would then change the side door to a real docking collar and an airlock with suit lockers across the hall from it. Then, while I was at it, I would create a Freelancer Min with 2 crew, half the cargo, and able to resupply ships like the 890 Jump with extra small hangars. I know that's likely too much to ask, but that is my opinion. Now for an update on our giveaways. We have the special membership to cover travel costs, make the channel have live CitizenCon coverage, plus the regular Raise crew membership. We are continuing to make progress towards giving some lucky player the Zippy Zazzy Zapdig Zephyr, the Zeus 2 cargo, and the marvelous multiplayer mining role meta, the Arasta. 1 entry per video, just be a member for automatic entry, or subscribe and comment with the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the component that had room for something above it, but was empty. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond for Ray's Guide.